The blizzard of '05 is hitting Long Island very hard. Snow and wind are causing some major damage there, and roads are treacherous. Chris Glorioso is live now in Oyster Bay with the latest. Chris.
That's right. Nassau and Suffolk counties are being battered even as we speak by this storm. The winds are starting to pick up, and in fact Suffolk County, which expects to see the highest snow totals, is under a state of emergency, and that means any driver that is not essential to the snow cleanup task is being strongly asked to stay off the roads. As for the road behind me, the Long Island Expressway, it has been a minefield of stranded cars all night. In fact, it took our crews upwards of 3 hours just to travel 20 miles. By now, most cars and drivers have thrown in the towel, except for the plow drivers who are digging in figuratively and literally. It is the picture of white-knuckle frustration. A blitz of blustery snow has crippled the LIE and the island it connects. Daniel Maldonado had to be on the road. He himself is a plow truck driver trying to get to work. His personal car proved no match for the storm.
And I was just riding in the slid, and the more I tried to get out of it, the more deeper I went into.
Off the expressways and on Long Island side roads, town plow crews like these in Oyster Bay struggle to stay ahead of the snow. It's getting harder every hour.
You have to keep ahead of it. You have to know at all times where it is, when it's going to appear in your backyard.
And Long Island's coastal towns may have much more to worry about. Forecasters predict the winds of this beastly blizzard will stir up tides 3 to 7 feet higher than normal. Coastal flooding in Hampton Bays ripped the deck off the Neptune Beach Club, and water is threatening to collapse these homes.
There have been some evacuations taking place on the North Shore. We have quite a number of pumpers ready to go, and but that's something that's very, very difficult to deal with, and we urge residents in flood-prone areas to listen to their local media outlets, listen to presentations like we're doing right now.
To put it one way, it's the kind of night where even a friendly push isn't enough to save Long Islanders from winter woes. Even the tow truck drivers aren't so sure of themselves tonight.
Having my problems as well, getting up hills and stuff with the roads, this bad. Anyone's having problems. I'm sure even these 4x4s and SUVs have problems as well.
I mean, have you ever seen the Long Island Expressway worse than this?
No, not like this. Actually, when I came out, I was looking across the street, and I'm like, it's ridiculous, and it's going to get worse.
And that is exactly what worries emergency managers here on Long Island. In fact, just about 5 miles away from where I'm standing in Bayville, there are already some signs of early flooding. And forecasters expect the flooding risk to be at its peak sometime between 4 a.m. tomorrow morning and 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Wind gusts could go up to 50 miles an hour, so we really may not have seen the worst of it. We may have a lot more to go, and not to mention the fact that we're already seeing inches of snow pile up, and in Suffolk County we may see 2 feet. That's it from Oyster Bay. I'm Chris Glorioso for the WB11 News at 10. Peter, back to you.
All right, Chris, thanks for that. Air traffic is also being crippled by the storm. Thousands of travelers are stranded at airports because of cancellations and also delays. Lolita Lopez is live. She is out at LaGuardia, and she has the latest details. Lolita.
Well, Peter, there are a lot of frustrated people here, and while the Port Authority is reporting minimal delays at area airports, we haven't seen any planes touch down or leave here at the American Airlines terminal at LaGuardia. And if you look behind me, there is just nobody here. It is literally a ghost town. Only the people that have to be here are the ones that are here. And in fact, we arrived here at about 5:30, 6 o'clock. The gates, to get to the gates, were already locked down. Today it was all about a mad rush to get on a plane before that snow arrived. How long?
Canceled. Like, we were in the airplane like 2.5 hours, and they made us go out again.
And the Perez family knew they wouldn't be getting home to Fort Lauderdale anytime soon when their luggage was carried off the plane, and they joined the dozens at LaGuardia Airport playing the waiting game.
Our flight was for tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and they canceled, so we tried to get another airplane this afternoon, but it was canceled again too. So.
You were trying to beat the snow?
Yeah, I was trying, but we couldn't do it.
More than 200 flights were canceled here, and it was much the same at Newark, with 120 flights grounded and 175 flights at JFK as of 8:30 tonight. The pounding snow was relentless and treacherous, causing a small cargo plane to skid and overrun a runway at Kennedy. The 3 passengers aboard were unharmed.
Normally we have
have 23 to 30 airplanes laying over. Tonight, I'm sorry to say, we only have 7. We have a skeleton crew because they declared a state of emergency in New Jersey and nobody's allowed on the roads.
Joe Charter is an American Airlines mechanic on his 36th hour of work. His crew take a lunch break before attempting to get planes in the air. The group tells us 2 flights tried this afternoon and were turned around. None have left since.
On a night like tonight, when it's cold like this, you have to put the heaters on the water lines and make sure you get the water out. It's like your house. You don't want, right out the heat, you don't want the water lines to freeze.
The Port Authority has mobilized 1,500 employees at area airports and have 200 vehicles, ones that plow, brush, and blow at 35 miles an hour, melters that liquefy 500 tons of snow in an hour. But tonight, the almost deserted airport is a bedroom and resting place for those with nowhere to go. This group we just met are making the best of it.
Now we're talking and camping out together.
Instant friends here.
Yes, instant friends.
See you guys. Enjoy the snow. And that was from our producer, Diana, who was able to get some of the lucky folks that were able to get out today. That was from earlier this afternoon. That was a group of 12 people who are now on a cruise in the beautiful Caribbean, nice and warm, I'm sure. But as for that Perez family who we told you earlier about, not only did they not get to Florida, but they also had to return back to where they were staying, which was with a family member in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Had to be on those snowy roads. Now, later in the show, we'll tell you about the employees who do have to be here, what they have to do to get home. You really won't believe it. For now, we're live at LaGuardia. Lolita Lopez, WB11 News at 10. Mary, back to you.
Thanks, Lolita. In New Jersey, Acting Governor Richard Cody has also declared a state of emergency. It's in effect until 8 tomorrow morning. Until then, all motorists are being asked to stay off the roads. Let's check in now with Jane King on the Jersey side of the George Washington Bridge. Jane.
Mary, New Jersey is a mess. You should not be on the roads unless it is absolutely critical. New Jersey Transit, in fact, has suspended bus service for the rest of the night and much of the morning tomorrow. Now, as Joe mentioned, we are in a bit of a lull here. You can tell visibility has improved somewhat over the past couple of hours. The snow, while it's still falling, does seem to have tapered off a little bit, and the winds have slowed down. All this as the first storm of 2005 bears down on the Garden State.
Very icy. Very slippery.
People either didn't believe the forecasters or just decided to go out anyway. Despite blizzard-like conditions, drivers were out and about, treading gingerly on the slick, snow-covered road.
The roads are much better on the right-hand side because most of the cars are going.
A conga line of snowplows march out to clear the white blanket, but the heavy rate of snowfall makes it hard to keep up. Even mini plows were out, and all 530 snowplows were circulating on the New Jersey Turnpike and the Garden State Parkway. Accidents were a common scene as the roads were more like a skating rink than a pavement. Transportation officials are pleading with people to stay home.
We're seeing motorists who are trying to pass the snow plows. We're seeing people who don't realize where they are. They're trying to stop and clean off their windshields, but they're in the middle of traffic.
Some took the storm in stride.
I'm from Buffalo, so I'm not really intimidated that much. I'm going a little bit faster because I got the good feel of my car.
But conditions are rapidly deteriorating, and the hazardous weather will last until midday tomorrow.
If there's still snow coming down in the morning, I can't stress enough that people need to stay, be off the road.
Well, I have noticed significantly fewer cars passing through the toll to get on the George Washington Bridge. The hilly areas and also the secondary roads in New Jersey still remain incredibly treacherous. Live at the George Washington Bridge, Jane King, WB11 News at 10. Peter, back to you.
All right, Jane, thanks a lot for that. Now, before this massive storm moved into the Northeast, it nailed the Midwest with a look at how everyone else is dealing with the blizzard of '05. Here's Tim Rury.
Storm warnings are posted as a winter storm from Canada barrels across the upper Midwest to the Northeast. In Ohio, snow blowers are working at full blast.
A lot of cold weather and a lot of snow, but we deal with it.
Parts of Wisconsin are buried trying to dig out.
And Granny, as long as the snow keeps coming, I'll be out here doing this.
And in Michigan, up to a foot of snow had fallen by this morning, while traffic was snarled in Minnesota's Twin Cities. Blustery winds and snow creating a winter wallop is intensifying as it bears down on the Northeast. The blizzard warnings are also in effect in Boston and other parts of New England. The snowstorm should pass in time for tomorrow's NFL Conference Championship games in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. However, forecasters are saying this could be the worst storm the Northeast has seen in many years. Tim Rury for the WB11 News at 10.
And if the snow keeps piling up to 20 inches, it will cost the city $20 million to clean up more than 6,000 miles of roadway. Here's what people were dealing with in Midtown today. The sanitation department seems to be doing a great job of clearing the city's major traffic arteries, but officials are still urging you've heard this before, stay off the roads. We are under a snow emergency here in the city, so be sure to look at all those signs if you are out and thinking about parking on the street.
And we do have a lot more news ahead for you here tonight. A buddy of Bernie Kerik gets in trouble. We'll tell you why. That's coming up next.
Plus, a living nightmare for the parents of an 11-year-old boy.
Nasty, nasty storm. The first one you can see over my shoulder. The sign over the Long Island Expressway says, caution, the roads are beginning to ice, and it makes sense. As the roads clear of most drivers, those few drivers who are going to risk it and take a drive may be tempted to go faster, but remember, the wind chills are causing the ice to compact. It could be very tricky to navigate, very tricky to stop on a dime, and very tricky to turn. Now, the second warning that officials here on Long Island have for the public regards the potential flooding. Remember that between 4 a.m. this morning and 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, we see the risk of winds going up to 50 mile per hour, possibly 50 mile per hour gusts. And there have already been some voluntary evacuations because of flooding, so keep an eye out for that. That's the latest from here in Oyster Bay. I'm Chris Glorioso for the WB11 News at 10. Back to you.
All right, Chris, thanks a lot. Right now, we're going to go over to Jane King, who's checking things out across the Hudson. She rejoins us on the New Jersey side of the GW Bridge with the latest there. Jane.
Well, Peter, the roads still are incredibly treacherous. The acting governor of New Jersey has declared that state in a state of emergency. So basically that means that unless it is an emergency, you should not be on the roads. Also, New Jersey Transit has suspended bus service for the rest of the night and well into tomorrow morning as well. Now, we are still getting some snow coming down. It feels like it's tapered down a little bit. The winds have as well. As I understand, we're in a bit of a lull before a next phase of the storm comes through. There have been several snow plows that have gone by. They've had some trouble keeping up with the rapid snowfall earlier today. Here at the George Washington Bridge, it's noticeably fewer cars going through the tolls. Good night. Stay home with some hot chocolate and a movie. Live at the George Washington Bridge, Jane King, WB11 News at 10. Mary, back to you.
And there is a new phase, Jane, coming overnight. Thousands of people are stranded at major airports tonight in the area and in other cities. Lolita Lopez is live at LaGuardia with more. Lolita.
Well, Mary, it was certainly a tough day for people who tried to beat the snow and just couldn't. And tonight they are camping out here at local area airports. We're here at LaGuardia where cots and blankets from the Port Authority just arrived about a half an hour ago. JFK has about 100 cots available to make the night at least a little bit more comfortable for people. Now, flights are scheduled to leave tomorrow, but that's a tricky situation. Passengers that we talk to tell us that when they call to reschedule, they are told the earliest they can leave is Monday. And the airport manager from here in LaGuardia just told us to call your carrier before you come. Some carriers have told them that they're not starting operations until tomorrow afternoon. And one last note, there are people that are working here. We just talked to employees over at one of the restaurants at the food court who tell us they're the ones that work during this treacherous weather because they live close. And I said, well, how do you get home? And they said they walk home. That's dedication. We're live at LaGuardia. Lolita Lopez, WB11 News at 10. Peter, back to you.
Walking home in this snow cannot be fun. All right, Lolita, thanks a lot. Now, this next story. The bride's gown cost more than some homes, and her diamond-studded ring cost more than many yachts. We're talking about 34-year-old model Melania Noss, who married the Donald tonight in Palm Beach. The setting for the opulent reception was Trump's newly unveiled $42 million Versailles-inspired ballroom at his Mar-a-Lago estate, complete with 24-karat gold moldings, custom-made crystal chandeliers, and marble floors covering 11,000 square feet. The guest list offered a mix of European royalty, Hollywood celebrity, and Palm Beach money. Singer Tony Bennett was there as well. It is Trump's third trip down the aisle, and he did it up big.
All right, well, we have much more ahead for you tonight.